Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have audio for this today? Maybe? Okay, great. Thank you. Hello, everybody. This is Marilyn, and it's time for the noon edition of Welcome to My World. This is the 16th of June, and it is a Friday. So happy Friday, everybody. Um, and this is kind of a strange Friday. Today is triple witching. If you're not familiar with that, on your whatever you keep for a personal calendar, the third Friday of the third month of the quarter, um, I would circle that, or whatever you do to call your attention to it, um, because uh, this is the time when there's a bunch of commodity options that expire. Some of the commodity contracts are rolling. Um, there's there's always a whole bunch of money that starts getting moved around right here on the third Friday of the third month of every quarter. So it's the end of the quarter uh, options freak out day. Anyway, it it can cause a lot of volatility. This morning we had this 8:30 building permits and housing starts numbers release, and they were below expectations. It sort of looks to me like the indices voiced their displeasure at that, and had a good move down. They kind of recovered at their typical 10:30, 11 turnaround. But anyway, if you're going to trade into the afternoon, that's great. I love that, Chris. Chris says he's wearing garlic. Ward off the evil spirits for today. Anyway, we can't get this VIX very excited about anything. At some point, that is going to change. It may be a while. It has sure stayed uh, heavily depressed, shall we say, for a lot longer than I think I've ever seen it do this. So, let's see. Gold has been in an incredible chop all day. And if you notice yesterday, I put the chop box on the crude oil chart, and it was in that all day. It never even broke out until midnight or after. In fact, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning when it finally decided to go above settlement. Today is the last day of the crude oil contract, and so there's a lot of money. This thing may sell off a little bit more going into the close, but I think it's pretty much baked into the cake uh, from earlier in the week. But on Monday, we'll all need to be on the August contract, and I'm pretty sure Nadex will be rolling at the same time. Maybe it already has. I'm not sure. I don't keep track of that like I do the futures. So if you have not rolled contracts before, there's a whole post in the forum on how you do that in your instrument manager. You always need to be real sure you're trading on the correct contract and the active, uh, whatever that may be. And there's no rhyme or reason to the way some of these roll. The indices, it's quarterly. Crude oil, it's every month. The currencies, it's quarterly, but not at the same time that the indices. I mean, it's within a couple, 3 days. The same with the interest rate. They roll quarterly, all the bond. And then gold has its own thing. So sometimes it's to the next month and sometimes it skips a couple. And so you have to be real alert to what the correct contract month is. And let's see, I don't see anything else too exciting. Next week, hopefully we're going to start to have a little better uh, trading than we've had. This week has not been an easy week to trade, that's for darn sure. Tuesday morning, the numbers releases pick up a little bit. Next week on Monday, there's very, very little. Wednesday, about the only thing we're going to have is the crude oil inventory. For those of you who trade in the evening hours and you like to trade the pairs with Nadex, I'd get next Wednesday marked on my calendar real clearly, because at 4 o'clock Eastern time, the Bank of New Zealand is going to make a rate statement. If you notice, the yen sold off heavily when they were coming up on the Bank of Japan making a rate change or announcing one. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. But my point is, these world banks tend to watch very closely to see what the FOMAC is going to do in the U.S. And they can sometimes kind of all line up together. But it does provide some volatility as a rule. So anyway, and let's see. Then on Thursday, we've got very little in the way of anything exciting. And same for Friday. Friday morning next week is going to be Canadian dollar. So if you like to trade the Canadian dollar, U.S. dollar pair, next Friday morning might give you a little trade or two. But the end of this week, once today is over with, there's also a lot of the big traders that head out for vacation time and school and family stuff and all that. So we may see early morning from now on through August until, right after Labor Day. We may see the early morning have the volume that will make the moves. And then in the afternoon, it just kind of turns into ho-hum land. Might keep that in mind. If you've got other things to do, get up a little earlier than usual and see if you can find some volume from the London traders that might spill over into the early open for U.S., but after about 11:30, 12 in the U.S. The London cash close has already occurred, and so the volume can dissipate tremendously. One of the things that I am experimenting with, and I'm trying to find, some people like to keep a journal electronically because they have everything in their computer. And by the time I've already had about all of the computer stuff I can handle for a while. By the time I want to make some entries in my journal, so I'm a lot better I've been using a little notebook. I have lots of little notebooks I keep for different things. But I don't know if any of you have taken a look at, they sell them in, I don't know, the office supply kind of stuff. the kind of diaries that have the days all laid out and marked ahead. I'm going to pick up one of those and put these news events. I've got too much information in too many different places that is getting to be a little much for me to juggle. So I don't know if that will help anybody else, but I think I'm going to move over to one of those where I can have all of my trading stuff, including the calendar and the dates, and kind of lay everything out a little better than just using a notebook. And it does help to have that with you. Some people like to keep that kind of stuff on their phone. That also, kind of drives me nuts, but then that's why we're all different. So let's see. Oh, the other thing I wanted to, I haven't scrolled all the way up here into the top. Chip GC, the futures contract, I think rolled for the futures people last week. I can't remember exactly when, but we're going to be on August for a while. But I think it's got about another 40 days to go. So probably towards the end of July, we'll be looking to roll that. But I have not scrolled all the way up through here, but I did catch a couple of questions for Lori, and she's had to step away for a while, so she may not be around. And in the summertime, most of us really try to get our trading done early in the morning, because in the afternoon is sitting here staring at your computer. Number one, it's an exercise in frustration, and number two, there's not a lot happening. But if you've looked and looked and looked and you didn't see anything, you think, well, I think I'll just try this. Try to control yourself and not do that, because that usually in the summertime, in the afternoon, turns out to be not really too helpful to your account. Thought I would mention that. And yes, Aaron put, this is a big deal. Thanks, Aaron. Aaron's always full of lots of good little tidbits. But this business of Amazon is buying Whole Foods, and I think it was it's some astronomical amount of money they're paying. But the consolidation, I saw that earlier, and I was like, good grief, Amazon's got a lot of money laying around, because it was well into the billions. But retail is gonna, 14 billion. Yeah, it was like, holy cow. But whole paycheck is right. Whoa, that is a lot of money to be paying for a food company for sure. But anyway, and I also saw, and I think it was in the same article, but it was pretty interesting, because retail is, the whole face of retail is changing. Big time. But it was some bunch of people, whoever they are, who had decided to take a look at what was the cheapest retailer that people were going to, and they had a basket of goods, whatever it was, and they were comparing Amazon to Costco, and they figured out that Costco was less expensive. And so Costco's challenge right now is trying to figure out and they're working on this, trying to figure out how to make it a little easier for people to pop into their stores. Um, they've got a parking lot problem as far as I can see, unless you're there at well before it opens. You might be driving around for a while looking for a parking place. But anyway, yeah, your your uh, your personal shopping history. That's they do track that stuff. Of course, it kind of for me, I'm kind of like I don't really like that, but I guess with the modern age of all this electronics, they can find out just about anything they want to know about you, including how to break into everything you ever thought you had. But um, over the weekend, sometime, and over the next couple of weeks, as we wind this quarter down, uh, July will start our second half of the 2017 trading year. So if you need to make some little tweaks to how you're doing things, and you need to change up anything, it's it's usually a good idea to make minor little tweaks instead of trying to turn the entire world around on a dime. Because the other thing I would caution, we've got some new people, and I know when you come to Apex, I mean, there's every kind of indicator known to mankind, and it's truly overwhelming. But if you see any way to simplify what's on your chart, I would suggest you do that, because the more stuff, a lot of people think, oh, the more stuff I have on here, the better. It tends to get in the way of decision making. So think about A, what you're doing with trading, and B, what your job is. With trading, what you're doing is not trading. You are making decisions. You have to be a professional decision maker. So get trading out of your head and focus on making good decisions. The other thing I would tell you is um, what your job is, because a lot of people think their job is to place trades. The job of a trader is to manage risk. So those two things, if you can get real focused on managing risk and on making good decisions, then all the rest of it will fall in place. It's 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 just a little bit different way of thinking about things and looking at things. Good decisions and risk management. So anyway, I hope everybody has a wonderful and a safe weekend. And I know this is all kinds of kids are out of school and graduating and this and that and the next thing. So uh, just expect